Right, so we are going to kick it off with the first tutorial. As Kath mentioned in the introduction to this Hack Week, there is a teaching component to this, kind of in that space between like pedagogy and working on projects. And one of the things that we teach in the Hack Week is reproducible work. What does that look like? Reproducible projects. So I am going to talk about this and give you some like tips on how to do this in a really practical way. This is not going to be a lecture on all the intricacies of Git at all, but I am going to introduce you to Git and help you sort of give you some ideas about how to manage your learning journey wherever you are in learning Git, learning how to use GitHub. So I'll be talking about Git and GitHub in general. These are tools for doing something called version control, which you're going to learn about in a moment. There are other tools that you could use, but these are the ones that we're going to be using, and they're also very, very popular. Nowadays, I used to hear a lot about GitLab. I don't hear about that so much. And way, way back in the day, I heard about SVN, but I only hear about that from the IT people at work. All right, so reproducible work. What I'm going to talk about is getting started with reproducible workflow. So this will be focused for those of you who aren't like on Git constantly and committing all your stuff constantly and just really steeped in the ideas of reproducible workflow. So it's kind of at the entry level. Also talk about tips for learning Git and also teaching Git. So if you feel like, oh man, I already know all this stuff, then what you should be getting out of this, I would hope, is, okay, how do I help others? How do I teach this? That is perhaps one of the things I hear the most from people who use version control, use Git a lot. It's like, I can't get my colleagues to use it. I don't know how to help them. So I'm hoping that you'll get something out of this, of learning how to help people learn it and use it. Then I'll shift into talking about, okay, let's talk about collaborating in a Hack Week setting. How do you do this in practice so that you are making progress on your projects rather than fighting Git? This isn't a week of teaching you how to resolve merge conflicts. The idea is you're going to be working on projects. So we'll talk about how to organize. And then the last bit, I'm going to talk some like really pragmatic tips of using some of GitHub's project management tools. So I've always been really interested in the open science, open notebook movement. I don't know, I was really early on in my I think this is maybe when I started postdocing. I didn't do it so much as a PhD, but once I finished my PhD, I became fascinated with the this kind of micro community of people who were putting all their work as they did it online and just throwing out any ideas about, I'm gonna like keep my work secret until I publish it. Just throwing that idea out. So this is that, by the way, that idea is something that it's easy to do like after you've gotten your PhD. I don't know if I would have done that when I was a starting grad student. When you're starting, you get your one idea. That idea is precious. You do not want anyone to take it because you only have one. So that's like a really normal response if you have that response. But I finished my PhD, I was out, so I'm really exploring this idea of like putting all my work as I did it online. just making it public. So I got into that, and then I got really into creating these. I have developed some big R packages for a certain type of time series analysis. It actually became popular with people who are at big banks. It turns out they use this for, what is it? It's for portfolio analysis. So I do this multivariate time series analysis stuff. Anyhow, so I was managing these big code projects. And so it was around that time, I was like, okay, I need to get better. I recognize that there are people who were better at managing big code projects, and they were better at creating reproducible workflows. I don't think I used those words, reproducible workflows, but I definitely had that idea in my mind. And so I just would go up to people I thought who were better than I was, who I aspired to be like them. And I asked them, so what's the one thing that you do that you think is really important? Like, yeah, I kind of phrased it like that. So I would just go up to conventions. That was my icebreaker. And most of them said version control. Version control, that sounds absolutely boring. I do not like that answer. I wanted a different answer. So finally I was like, okay, I got to learn this and I should embrace this. So what is version control? For the purpose of this talk, I'm going to keep it really simple. So version control is, as you code, you are periodically going to stop and write a little electronic note, and you will push that into this electronic notebook that's keeping track of everything that you do. And this notebook is super smart. You can go back in time, look at where you were. You can kind of check out the past, look at what the past looks like. This is, let's check this out. This is actually the verb. Where is it here? Here we go. So here I'm on GitHub, and this is the version control for a project. So I was in a hack week last week. I was on a team. We were doing neural networks and chlorophyll data. And so this is our electronic notebook as we work along. We enter what we're doing. You can go back in time and see everything that the whole team did. You can click on this at any point in time and kind of see, oops, browse repository at this point in time. So I can click on there, I can go back in time, I can look at that. If I so desired, I could go back in time and revert everything back to there if I needed to. But mainly, I have this record, everything that I have done. So that's how when I say version control, that's what I'm going to mean for the purpose of this talk. I'm just going to keep it simple. All right. So I realized, okay, I need to do this. Everyone says I need to do this, so let's do it. I am going to start using Git. You can find all kinds of resources online, even back in the day when I was learning it. And so I get started. And this is what the beginning looked like. A lot of crying and fighting with Git. There were so many merge conflicts. I believe that Git was a demon and was deleting my files, so they would just disappear. It was, this is actually hard to do with Git, but it is, you won't believe that. When you start, you're like, no, Git always does that. It does because you're learning, but it's hard for you to actually delete your files. There are things you can do, but you have to do, Git force, hyphen force. Yeah, that's how you delete things. So as long as you're not doing force, you're pretty good. But in the beginning, there's just lots of pain. And I got a little bit past the, like there might have been 5 of those where I was like, I'm not using this, it's destroying my files. Got past that, and then I went to the next stage, and the next stage is like you can kind of work with it, and then every so often you get yourself like tied up in a ball, and you resort to this, which is like Yeah, well, if you get stuck, just delete the project and download a fresh copy. Anyone who uses Git a lot has done this. So I did that a lot for a while. I don't do that very often anymore, but yeah. So that's what it kind of looked like for me, and it looks like this for many people. So if it looks like this for you, you are not alone. You're not doing anything wrong. So what I did is I knew my colleagues were using it all the time. I did not hear cursing coming from their offices, so I was certain I was doing something wrong. So finally, I swallowed my pride, and I am an expert coder. And so the fact that I couldn't learn this simple thing was really a little embarrassing. But I swallowed my pride, and I just went to my colleague in the next office. I said, hey, Eric, can I sit next to you and watch you work? I knew he was using version control constantly. And I pulled up my chair. It's kind of called peer programming, but it was more like peer watching. I wasn't doing any coding. I wasn't helping him. I sat there quietly and I said, please let me watch as you work, and as you normally are committee code, let me just watch you. I sat there quietly. It was at least 30 minutes, might have been 45. And I simply watched him as he worked. It was so simple. I had been doing everything wrong. Not everything. I had been making things so complicated. And after watching him, I was like, I started over. I copied what he did, and then it was, I kind of set myself on a path. So that's I really want to highlight that story because learning from your peers is really important. And just showing somebody how to work can be really enabling for them. You don't have to always tell them how to do things. You kind of just show them how you work. I remember a story once, while I was peer programming with actually the same guy, Eric, and we were doing another project, and we were coding something. We were both actually expert coders, and we were constantly jumping to Google and Slack Overthrow. And the student was like, is that how you normally program? What do you mean? You're checking things. It's and you're hitting question mark, blah, blah. Yeah, that's how you code. So just watching people, and especially for Git, I think watching somebody do it will really help you if you're struggling. Okay, so now I live on GitHub, and as I showed you, and I teach this, this is what my GitHub profile looks like. Down here are all the organizations that you're part of, that I'm part of. So yeah, I'm kind of steeped in it now. All right, so what I want to now go into is talking about how one learns new skills and how you teach skills to people. So in my weekend life in winter, I am a ski instructor. I've been a ski instructor for a long time, over 30 years. I think it's coming up on 30 years. And in that role, I am I teach a junior program, I coach, but I am the technical director of a ski school. My job is to teach people how to teach people skills. I have a lot of training in that. And this little figure right here is the figure that I show to the coaches to, it's kind of our, our cartoon, or to help the coaches think about how they approach learning and how they approach teaching. And I will say also that as a learner, this is a good diagram to think about yourself. And the key thing here is that the student is at the center. So you need to think about, where is the student? What are their goals? And tailoring what you're doing for them. And I'll come back to this as I go through here. So key concepts for either learning or teaching people new skills. So this this diagram here, I think, is the really core concept. So this is our student. So you're here and talking to the learner. And so that's the skills of our learner. And this is the difficulty of the skill that they are trying to learn. And the trick as the coach, who might be somebody who's helping them, or if I'm trying to learn myself, so I'm kind of self-coaching, is to try to be on this line. So if I am learning the skills, and so, you know, the skill is not like one thing. So this is like, if I'm teaching skiing, there's like tons of skills, right? So you're starting down. So this is like expert skier, maybe I'm trying to get to, but there are skills involved to getting there. So for us, somebody who is able to use Git and not pull their hair out, that's where we're trying to go to. And so there's a bunch of skills involved in that. So when you're starting, you're down here, your skill level is low. And so you need to start by doing easy skills. You want to start with learning easy skills. And you want to try to stay in this learning zone. If you are getting frustrated and unhappy, you've moved over here. And that's your sign that you need to work on easier things. So like getting frustrated and unhappy is not helping your learning progress. Same if you're watching your student, if they are not able to follow you, if they're getting confused, you're pushing into here, and you need to make things easier. Over here I have, it's not learning much. Well, that's true. This is the area where we already know the skill and we're trying to perfect the skill. So of course we repeat skills over and over to, perfect them. But when we're learning things, we want it just kind of hard enough that we're still kind of able to do it. Maybe we need to be referring to our notes all the time, but we're not getting frustrated and unhappy. And as we learn skills, we move up here. All right, so so you have your learner or yourself. The first thing that you want to do is isolate the skills. This is really important. When people are learning things, you don't want to teach them like 5 things all at once. You want to teach them one skill. So I'll give you a skiing example. So, working with a coach, I say, okay, I want you to teach this person how to go down this hill. And so they say, okay, well, so I bring them to the hill. I'm going to, okay, put your skis like that. Put your hands out front. So and then we'll go sliding down the hill. Whoa, okay. So how many skills did you just try to teach the student? And they'll say, well, 1, like getting on the hill. Like, okay, now doing this to your skis, that's a skill. They've never done that before. That's a skill. They need to learn that skill. Sliding, that's a skill. They've never slid before. So you're trying to get them to slide and turn. And then next, what about their body position? You have to have their body over the middle of their feet. They've never practiced that before. So now you put them on a hill where they're afraid they're gonna fall. So like, okay, so you flooded them with lots of skills. And so then I'll challenge the coach to think about, okay, so let's isolate those and let's have the student practice that skill. So practice doing this in a really place where they're going to be really successful. So that's the idea of isolating skills. The same with learning Git. We're going to do a little sort of practice here in a moment. And you'll get to see what this looks like, practicing these skills. So it takes some thinking to like isolate what the skills are. But like if you sort of like, as you describe something, if you hear the action verbs would be your skills. So we're gonna isolate the skills, break them down, and then learn them kind of one by one. And then practice before moving on. So here's an example. This what I'm going to do today is in that top box. Tomorrow you're going to work on this on GitHubs for getting started with your project. I think it's today. It's either, no, I think it's tomorrow, either tomorrow or later today. You'll be working on setting up your repositories. Okay, so today we're going to learn some really basic skills. Again, if this is all old hat for you, then you're practicing how would I teach this, okay? And so practicing how to teach it, and part of that is like actually doing it. Can you do it without like adding extra stuff? That's all the hard thing. Okay, so here's the skill. And there are 3 skills here. So this is oriented to somebody who is either brand new or they are still, it's not easy for them, okay? So we're going to try to make this a situation where it's going to be hard for them to not be successful. We're trying to create it so they're going to be successful. We're going to work only on GitHub. So you're going to go, you all jump in. We're going to go to github.com and log into your user. So for me, I'd be going to github.com/PE-Holmes, whatever yours is. And we are going to work on 3 skills one by one. The first skill will be to create a blank repository. And then, I didn't highlight that. So it's all the things that are bold. I guess I was a little random in my highlight. So create, edit, commit, and delete. So edit and commit are going to be kind of the same. So we're going to practice those skills on GitHub. So I am going to go turn this, yes. So I am here. Up here, I can click and I can see my repositories. Repository, you can think of like a special folder that has your electronic notebook in it. So it is a special folder. It's not just any old folder. It's this folder and it's got that little electronic notebook in there so that it's hooked up to Git and you can record things. All right, so this green button over here, I can do new. So we're gonna create a blank repository, make some commits, and then delete it. New. And you may or may not see this. I see this because I'm in lots of different organizations, so I have to pick me. I'm betting most of you just see yourself. And then you can just, you know, you can name it whatever you want. I try to name things that I need to delete, something like this, because otherwise I'll forget to delete them. So public or private, doesn't matter, it's up to you. Okay, this README, you need to click that README. I'm going to show you what is going to happen if I don't click it. Actually, yeah, I'll show you what happens if I don't click it. If you see this, you did not click it. You see that? Don't try to solve this. Don't try to follow the instructions. You'll go back to settings. Scroll down to the bottom. You're going to practice this in a moment. Delete this repository. Delete. And it's way, way too many pop-up things. Delete. To make it hard to delete things. Oh. Okay, great. So, okay, so now we're going to get started. I think I have helpers on the outside. If we have somebody who accidentally hits that, who forgets to hit the README and gets stuck with that screen and has any trouble navigating to get to delete me, just raise your hand and somebody over here can wander over and show you. The first time you have to delete something, like navigating through all those tabs is a little, it's not intuitive, let's put it that way. Okay, so I went to that repository tab, I click new, click myself here, delete me, delete. That's fine. So now I'm going to click README. Really important. Let's click that README. Create repository. All right, there we go. This is what I should see. I should see a README right there. And now I'm ready to go. I can start editing things. So let's start. So we have created a repository. Can I see? Show of hands. Yay. Great. Okay. Like I said, if that felt like, oh, that's so easy. Yeah. Okay. Then think about, like, if you're trying to get somebody started, this is how you get them started. So now we're going to practice the next skill, which is edit things and commit them. We're just going to get used to editing and committing. On GitHub, we can edit with this little thing here. So let's go ahead and we're going to edit the README. So we have the README here. Do it there. So let's just do that. Click in there and just add some things. Add some text. If you add the text, you hit the big green button, commit changes, and now you're given this, and it's your commit message. So now is where it's going to record this message. So in that history of everything you're going to do, you are going to have those messages there. And yeah, so whatever you want. So, you know, some text. I keep mine really kind of neutral because invariably if I do something what I think is funny, or maybe I get frustrated and do something a little crude, invariably I'm going to end up having to show that to somebody and then it's embarrassing. So, but kind of whatever you want. Let me do that one more time. So I'm going to edit the file, add more text, hit the green commit. I can also just accept update README, but since we're practicing a commit message, I'm going to put something in here. Example. Okay. All right, so let's do. We're doing practice. We're going to do this. Let's do like 4 times. 4 times as quick as you can. I'm going to do 4, and when I get through 4, we'll stop. So if you've never done this, do text. If you've done this a month, try to let's see, put an image in there or a GIF. So that's what I'll do. I'm gonna find an image. I'll put an image in. Okay. So I'm gonna do 4. We'll do 4 commits. in GitHub, if you start with a colon, there's these like little icons you can put in. And we have all kinds of ones. There's this is using Markdown. It is what's called GitHub flavored Markdown, but as long as you're doing kind of vanilla stuff, it should work. All right, okay, stop. So anybody else put an image or a GIF in? Okay. Great, you got an image? What'd you put in?
A picture of a cat.
A picture of a cat. All right. Here you go, what'd you put in?
I just put in the OceanHackWeek logo.
There we go.
On brand.
Yeah, on brand. Excellent.
I was really tempted to send you the rich signal.
The what?
The rich signal?
Rich signal?
Yeah. Yeah. We have rich signal presenting tomorrow. And,
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
and there's the rich signal of when you need rich to come present.
Ah, okay. All right. So that was getting practice doing commits. We can also add files, and if you go into the plus, you can add a file. So what we're going to practice now is adding a file in a new directory. So we're going to add a README in a new directory. You click that, say create new file. Up here, I'm going to say images. That's our directory name, / and now put just readme.md. Go. This is directory for images. What we're doing is we're creating this directory, but we need to have a file in there to put it. So I'm just going to put the README in there, make it easy, and then click commit. I'm just going to go with README. It's fine. So now what I see here, if you look up here, I've got delete me. It says images. I can go back here and I have that. Now that I have that, I can do things like add files. I can add file and then upload. All right. Last skill we'll do on GitHub is how to delete things, because when you're learning, you're going to create lots of repositories that you don't need, and or you just mess up and you don't like it. So let's go ahead and delete this thing. We get to the repository. So I'm going here, I'm going to click on its name, and you'll see settings over here. If you don't see settings ever, that would mean you are not an owner, but you just created this thing. So you should see settings, click settings. And delete is all the way down at the bottom. You're going to have to go all the way down. And then you click delete. And now you will go through an infinite number of little things. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this because I know it's going to ask me for it. So I just copied it. And now it's okay, type it in. Fine. Let's get that. Okay, that was practice session. Now I am going to go back over to, let's get back to the talk. Okay, so let's talk about collaborating on GitHub at a hack week. when we get tomorrow or later today, whenever you set up your projects, you're gonna be using this project template. And that template is gonna look like this. You will see, you'll learn how to use this, how to clone this so that you make your own copy. We'll help you with that. When you get in there, you're gonna see this thing, and it's gonna say contributor folders. If you click on that, you will see team members. And if you click on that, you will see, then we have our notebooks. In a Hack Week situation, we want to minimize merge conflicts. We want to minimize situations where you and your teammates are editing the same file or the same directory, and then it says, no, your histories have, there are conflicts, or your histories have diverged, or something awful, and then you're like, I can't merge them. So we want to minimize that, just to minimize your frustrations during a Hack Week. And the way to do that is for each person to be working in their own folder in the repository. So you'll have your contributor folder, you have your team members, you can put everything in there, your sandbox. And I really encourage you to use that and put your stuff there. It is so helpful for your teammates to be able to see what you did. And, no matter what state it's in, they can see it, they can get ideas off it. You can talk with them in your check-in, say, hey, I've been working on trying to do this thing, or hey, I got this cool visualization going, and they can go and they can check that out. And then there's that folder that says final notebooks. And then at the end, whatever the final thing that the team produces, if you decided to produce a final thing, one person puts it in that notebook. And that kind of workflow in a Hack Week is going to minimize merge conflicts. Yeah.
Can you tell us what notebooks are?
Yeah.
Just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, so a notebook will be, for Python users, that would be like a Jupyter notebook. It's going to have your code in there and your text. It could also be a script if you're writing scripts. So whatever you're working on would go like into here. For an R user, typically your notebooks are going to be called R Markdown, or Porto is the new type. And it allows you to, again, same thing, combine text and code into the same document. Yeah. Okay, so this is a really important, especially for those of you who maybe have some Git experience. You've been using it perhaps solo, and maybe you haven't used it that much when you're collaborating. Do not do Git push force. Do not do Git push force. That is the one thing when you are collaborating with people that is destructive. We can help you. We will help you, and we will help you recover. But what that recovery looks like is that we get all the team members together. Everyone gets their local repositories. They're going to save whatever they are working on someplace else. Everyone will delete their local repositories. They will reclone down from GitHub, and then they will try to repair and move back in the stuff they were working on. That is what happens if you do get a push force. So don't do that. If you truly, truly needed to, go for a walk. Get a little less frustrated. You're doing that when you're really frustrated. So stop, find a different solution, get help. Just resist the urge to do that. So tomorrow you're going to be learning that. Right, so last 10 minutes, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what collaboration on big projects looks like. Some of the tools that are available in GitHub that are really helpful when you are collaborating on a big project. This could be with yourself or with lots of other people. And why do we collaborate using these tools? It allows us to do much harder things. This is an example of something I collaborated on, and I think this is like such a fantastic example of the way that GitHub can allow you to do things. Collaboration allows you to do things you couldn't do before. This is a website, and I was in charge of creating the website for this Hack Week. This is a PACE satellite mission. It's this really slick website. And amazingly, this group at eScience created this template. So all the files, the whole template, it would have taken me months to create this thing. And I just went on GitHub and I clicked on that, and there was a button, use this template. I used that. And then within, I guess, 2 days, I was able to get kind of everything going there. So I was able to use something that somebody shared on GitHub, and it just made it really easy. Had all the instructions there. So that's an example of something really great that you can do. And then as we were working on it, I could collaborate asynchronously, and we could solve like hard things. I couldn't figure out how to like solve this MathJax problem. It's kind of this technical thing. And we were able to use the issues feature to collaborate and tell each other, how we were solving, point exactly to where we thought the code had problems. You can go on to the slideshow to see if you want to walk through that and see what that actually looks like. Let me just show you some of these, the most useful tools, I think. So first off, let's back up a little bit. Project management. In my experience, we're always using some variant of what's called the Plan, Do, Check, Act workflow. It could be a really informal variant of that. It could be quite formal, but it depends on what you're doing. But even if it's, we're just like a bunch, we're working on that website together, we're going to do some kind of informal variant of Plan, Do, Check. So we're not just going to, boom, just start working. We're going to think about what we're going to do a little bit. So we're going to decide on the next set of tasks, and we're going to write that down. We're going to complete those tasks. So rather than saying, I'm going to work on the website, I'm not going to do it that way. That would not be an efficient way to do it. I'm going to break it into, I'm going to do this part and I will complete that. I'll do that part and then I'll complete that. And so as we complete these short little tasks, we show the work to others, we talk about it. Yeah, are we good? Does this look good? And then act, we maybe adjust the approach. Do we like that? Do we not like that? And then we keep going. We do this, work in this iterative cycle. And it's a conscious thing that you're doing. You're changing the way that you are working to be more efficient by doing this task-oriented task and then checking, like talking about it cycle. GitHub can really help you with this. So the issues feature, if you go onto your repository, you're going to see this thing here that says issues. And the way that I see people use this and the way I use this is we're basically putting our tasks there. So whatever we think of, whatever we're working on, we put that there. And so that when something pops into your head, oh yeah, we need to do blah, blah, blah. You don't put it on a sticky note or just think, I will remember. You hit that new issue button and you get that there. You can delete it later if you want. So use issues, super, super helpful. Releases. This is actually something that I find super helpful, is that when I complete a big thing, so at the end of the Hack Week, complete the project or wherever it's at, we will make a release and just kind of make a line in the sand. Yep, this is where it was. And that way, next time you start working on it, instead of doing project version number 3, and then having in your directory version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, filling it up, and then you're kind of like, how are these all related? You're actually using the GitHub features of releases. So if you've never played with that, I encourage you to play with that. It also helps you change your mindset of like having work that just kind of goes on and on forever. Get out of that mindset, get more in this iterative mindset. This is the end. The end is here. I will have it in a functioning state. Make that a release. 3 minutes. Project boards. Also another great feature. You'll see that at the top here. If you don't see that in your repository and you want to play with it, you go into settings, I think. You have to kind of poke around, ask some help if you want to use it and you don't see it. I can't remember if you see projects by default. I use project boards on pretty complex things where we're doing a lot of coordination. And this is an example of a project board for a package that I manage. This one is organized by various milestones, and this can help team awareness. You know, keep everyone knows what they're doing. So especially like if you have a lot of tasks, different people are doing different things. That's helpful. So you can play around with that. So these are, I put this in order of things, of tools that I see teams or individuals using a lot. So issues, pretty much, I see that ubiquitously, kind of everyone uses that. Releases, you see those pretty commonly. Project boards, a little less common. Like I said, I don't use them on all my projects, just use it on some where I need that. And then the discussions, this I see used the least. However, it can be really nice. So we have Slack. Slack, you have to pay for if you're going to keep your record of everything. It's going to disappear after 3 months or something like that. You can use the discussion boards kind of in the same way that you use Slack. It's a little less engaging. It's a lot less engaging, personally, but it doesn't go away. So that, so I use on my, I supervise interns, and I have a discussion board for each summer, and they're putting all the discussions in there. I still go back, 3 years back, and I'll look through things. It's got like search features. So it's kind of like having a discussion board just baked into your GitHub community. I think it is only for organizations, however. But anyone can create an organization. It's just a couple clicks of a button. Organization is just a group of people who can come together and collaborate on repositories. All right, I'm going to stop there. Any comments or anything that the heavy GitHub users would like to add? Things I missed that you use all the time, a feature of GitHub that I didn't bring up. Yeah.
I feel like the thing that made me buy into GitHub was using it to host HTML outputs from our Markdown or Porto. Like that was like the superpower it gave me, was I could make a link to my work and send it and keep it live and updated for free. It just made me feel like I was doing more work or something cool.
Oh yeah, I should have showed that. How did I not show that? Man, I use that constantly. This is, so this summer, I decided to learn how to do Jupyter books. I do lots of books. I do lots of Quarto books. I train people in that, but I hadn't done that in Python. So this summer I wanted to learn Jupyter books. This is the Jupyter book that we did last week. And it's a, I keep saying just, it is a template you can use to host something on GitHub. It is very easy to use. This is basically a folder with some Jupyter notebooks in it. And it creates, look at this, instead of us just having our, there it is, just again, having our notebooks, it creates this beautiful version. So nice. So yeah, that is GitHub Pages is something you have, and it's free.
And if Ella is familiar, we use the same template for our website and run it on GitHub Pages. We just have a special domain for it, so it's a slight touch more handy.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
I never used it myself, but I know there's the continuous integration, continuous development tools.
Which integration?
Continuous integration, continuous development that you run.
Actions. Oh, actions, yes. So actions, for example, this one is being built by an action. Whenever there's a commit, it automatically rebuilds it. I don't have to do something locally and push it up. It's just automatically being done. And yeah, so these workflows, so many different things you can do. It's, yeah, that's fantastic. So this is one, I didn't write this. This is a template. I do write them, but if you can use somebody else's action template, that is really fantastic. I also do, I develop Docker images. So I maintain community images for fisheries. And that is another cool feature. They have these things packages. They are images. You can host the images there. And you, so I used to have Docker on my computer and I would build the Docker images and push them up. I don't do that anymore. Now I have a GitHub action that I build the images using GitHub's virtual machines. It's nice. I don't have to have Linux on my computer. I can use their thing. So there's a lot of other things too that you can do.
I guess you didn't really touch on pull requests or peer review yet.
Right.
Yeah. I guess I would say even when I work by myself, I tend to open pull requests and approve them myself because it gives you all your changes in one spot.
Yeah.
I realize we may be moving faster and not want to do that in this setting, but I think it's a good best practice.
Yeah, so I didn't show that on purpose. Focusing on the entry level, getting people started with it without getting confused. So I think that once you are feeling good about, like, you're getting your stuff up on GitHub, you're just pushing to main, but you're feeling really good about that. You're not making a lot of mistakes. You're not creating merge conflicts with yourself. You're not having to wipe out your local repository and re-pull it frequently. So once you're there, then yes, I would say the next thing is to learn how to use branches and pull requests. Definitely, like when we were collaborating, the OceanHackWeek team, yeah, we're using pull requests and branches and forks and all that good stuff. When you're starting, that's up there, and that'll take you very quickly to the frustrating thing. Yeah.
Just a quick question on like the workflow of having individual collaboration or collaborator folders. If we're not using branches in the, we're like trying to collaborate, maybe our work relies on someone else's work. Are we just thinking that we're gonna copy and paste from someone else's collaboration folder? Or is there a better way to do that if our work is not siloed?
So I would say two things I would say. One, learning how to do branches and pull requests is a great learning goal for the Hack Week. And we have many people here who can sit down and show you that workflow and help you move up in that learning journey. So that is a really great learning goal. So reach out to us and we'll do that. If we have enough interest, I think we could do like a special, session showing how to do that. For your project, I would say it depends on the skill set of the person you're collaborating with. Last week, I was in a project, all of us were very experienced. Yes, we all did, like, we were doing forking and branches pull requests, but we were all very experienced with it. If you're working with somebody who doesn't yet have that skill, I would say keep it simple. And I think the simplest way to do it is to be, you're here, you're in person, sit next to each other. And that way you can communicate, you can work on what you want to grab. And, if you're grabbing pieces here, or another way is to say, hey, I'm going to work on file ABC. You work on file, DEF. Let's work on that. We'll push up and then we'll both pull down. And that way you're keeping separate and minimizing merge conflicts. Yeah. But like I said, if you want to be like, no, I want to learn, I want to come out of here, it's more solid in my ability to do branches and pull requests and deal with merge conflicts, bring it on, meet with us. We are going to help you in that step of your learning journey. Any other comments? That was a really great comment about that. All right, okay.
Thanks, Eli. Thanks, Eli.
And we're gonna take